excuse you. So chapter 9 is going to involve, like I said, frequency tables and graphs. So understanding the graph is going to be important. So we're going to review X and Y intercepts before we start our chapter 9. Thank you. So number 5 and 6 are probably the easiest to look at, because all we have to do is it tells us our x-intercept is 5 and our y-intercept is 3. What we need to really understand that y is this axis here, and that x is this axis here. So when it tells us our x-intercept is equal to 5, what it's telling us is where it crosses this x-axis is at the point positive 5. So we're going to find 5 on the x-axis and put a point there. It says y-intercept equals 3. So that tells us that this line is going to cross this y-axis at positive 3. So we're going to find positive 3 and put a point there. You're going to take your straight edge, and you're going to find those 2 points, and you're going to draw a line all the way through the graph end to end with arrows on both ends. Normally I would tell you to label it, but there is no equation. It just told us what our intercepts are. So we're not labeling this particular graph. Are these big enough? These big enough for you? Okay. So number 6 is exactly like number 5. So I want you guys to go ahead and do number 6 on your own right now. So you should have been able to find that x is equal to -2. So on my x, find -2 and put a point there. On my y, y is equal to positive 5. Found positive 5 on the y-axis, and then connected the 2 points by using a line through your graph. All right, does your graph look like mine? Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to go up and look at number 1 and 2. Okay, so this time I still want to find the intercepts, but I have an equation. Okay, so again, this is refreshing your memory of what we did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this workspace and we're going to divide it in half. On one side, I'm going to write x-intercept, y is equal to 0. And on the other side, I'm going to write y-intercept, x is equal to 0. All right, so while you're writing that, I'll explain why. We're going to take their original equation and we're going to rewrite it down here. But on the left side, instead of y, I'm going to substitute a 0. On the right side, instead of x, I'm going to substitute a 0. So we're going to take that original equation. Let's just go ahead and rewrite it twice. This time y is going to be 0. So I'm going to start with x plus 2. Instead of y, I'm going to substitute a 0 in my parentheses. Equals 4. On the right side, instead of x, it's a 0. So I'm going to say 0 plus 2y equals 4. So now I have 2 equations that I can work on that are much easier to work on because of that 0, right? So what happens when I multiply any number times 0? It's 0, right? So I could just cross that out. So what am I left with on that equation? Read the entire statement. So this tells me that x is equal to 4. Right? So if I were to write this as a ordered pair so that I can put it on my graph, my x is 4, and that always comes first, and my y is equal to 0. And that's the ordered pair for that answer. So let's go ahead and finish off the one on the right. I have 0 plus 2y. So 0 just eliminates itself. It's not really part of my problem now. So it leaves me with 2y is equal to 4. How do I undo this 2y? I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 2. That becomes 1y, or Juan. So y is equal to, and what is 4 divided by 2? 2. So I'm going to write my ordered pair for this one here. This times x is 0, so x is 0, and my y is equal to 2. You need to make sure that you always write it x before y, and that you're writing the value. So one is going to be a 0, and one is going to be a number when we're doing our intercepts. That makes sense to you? Fist of 5, show me. I think I get it. I'm going to need a little bit of practice. Great. Let's go ahead and do number 2. Or you guys do number 2, and then we'll come back together and I will check it with you. All right. So again, we need to divide our workspace. We need to make sure that we wrote this down. How many of you guys actually wrote down your heading? It's super important. I'll tell you why. Because if you don't divide your workspace and write this down, you're going to get confused as to what is actually 0. Okay? So it's just really beneficial to you all if you wrote down your heading. I even like to put a line there just to give me my separation. So I'm going to write my equation, and my y is going to be 0. So x minus 3, I'm substituting a 0 in parentheses, equals 9, right? Negative 3 times 0 is 0. So that leaves me with what? Okay, so my ordered pair is going to be 9, 0. Right? How many of you guys got that one right? Excellent. We're on the right track. So the next one, this time my x is going to be 0. So instead of x, I'm going to write 0. There's my substitution in parentheses. Minus 3y. It's nice for you to know that that's your substitution, so I like to put it in parentheses. Okay. So 0 is just 0, so I can eliminate it. What does it leave me with? Negative 3y. So when we do our division, what should we be dividing by? A negative 3. If we're not careful, we'll forget that negative, and that's going to mess up our answer. We need to make sure we bring down the negative. Hannah's having a little party over there because she figured out that it was a negative, right? That's good. I like little parties like that. So we're going to bring down our Juan y, or just y, because Juan is shy. He likes to hide. So 9 divided by negative 3 is going to give me what kind of an answer? Negative 3. So my ordered pair for this one would be x is 0 and y is negative 3. Lovely. You guys get it right? Oh, sorry. Let me move over. Excellent. So we feel pretty good about that, right? Good. So 3 and 4 are exactly like 1 and 2. You guys can have time a little bit later on to work on those. Right now, let's go ahead and look at 7 and 8. Bring it up a bit. Lovely. All right. So 7 and 8 are exactly like 1 and 2, except that now we have a graph. Okay. We have a lovely graph here. So this is why, Matthew, when you ask me why I need 2 ordered pairs, it's important because sometimes we're going to ask you to graph that line once we solve it. So we have some lovely workspace down here at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to write down my heading. So I want you guys to go ahead and write your heading for number 7. Your heading? X-intercept. Y equals 0. Y-intercept. X equals 0. So you guys should have your nice, neat heading. Okay, because that's going to help you with the work. Okay? So here we go. X minus 4y is equal to 4. So this time my y is 0. So I'm going to write x minus 4. And instead of y, I'm going to put my substitution in parentheses of 0 is equal to 4. I'm going to go ahead, since I'm on a roll, I'm going to write my other equation too. So this time x is 0, so I'm going to have 0 minus 4y. Make sure you put your substitution in parentheses so you know it's a sub. And then it's going to equal positive 4. Okay? And now I just need to solve it. Go ahead and solve it while I'm solving it.
Isn't it a negative 1?
What's negative 1?
Yes.
I haven't finished it yet. All right, so go ahead and solve it. And then we'll come together in a second. All right, so if you guys did the multiplication and the work right, you should end up with x is equal to 4 and y is equal to negative 1. Make sure you guys divided by that negative there, because negative 4, when you divide 4 by a negative 4, it's going to give you a negative 1 answer. So here, Matthew, is why we need those two sets of ordered pairs. I'm going to graph this one first. X is 4, so for my point of origin, I'm going to find x is 4, y is 0, so I stay right on that line and put my point there. My second one tells me x is 0 and y is negative 1, so for my point of origin, I'm not moving left or right, but I'm going down to negative 1. Then I take my straight edge, and I connect those 2 points by drawing a line all the way through my graph from end to end, arrows on both ends. Then I have one more thing to do. What can I do now? Label it. So this is going to be x minus 4y is equal to, 4. Equal to 4. Where you put the label? No, it does not matter. I just like to put it where I can actually read it, because sometimes you got lines going through it like crazy, so it's easy to read there. Okay? Any questions? Show me fist of 5. I can do this. I can't, or I need some help. Excellent. You have 2 problems to do up above, 3 and 4. Take care of those first because there's no graphing. And then 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Those are just 5 more problems that you have to work on. And these are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 are exactly like number 7. You have the rest of the period. My goal is for you to finish your work in class so you have no homework on a Friday, and you can work on those missing assignments if you have any. All right, get to work.